Hello everyone, and welcome to the 25 March 2019 special webcast covering Phase 1 of the Priority Placement Program, or PPP Streamlining. Today's webcast is being conducted on the Department of Defense approved platform known as Defense Collaboration Services, DCS. Please note that in this platform, each chat box entry is limited to 256 characters. You're welcome to ask questions using the group chat function on your monitor. Our subject matter expert will be available to provide answers at the end of the webcast. Should the SME not be able to provide a detailed answer at the end of the webcast, questions and approved responses will be posted to MyPERS. Typically, approved questions and answers are posted to MyPERS approximately 15 business days after a webcast. I am Michelle Randolph, your narrator for this webcast. The long-awaited Phase 1 of the PPP Streamlining will take effect on April 1, 2019. Military spouses, MSPs, will be transitioning from the PPP registration process to an application-based process. Civilian personnel sections, CPSs, must register all military spouses who come into the office until close of business on 31 March 2019. Even though PPP registration is no longer required for military spouses, the CPS should provide assistance to any military spouse who comes into their office for questions regarding the impending changes. Provide copies of the MSP fact sheet, the MSP Frequently Asked Questions fact sheet, and the MSP self-certification checklist. The documents can be found on the CPS transmittal, which is dated 5 March of 2019. The MSP self-certification form can also be found on our Air Force Personnel Center's Eligibility Guide. CPSs should continue to provide guidance on how MSPs exercise their MSP preference, application requirements, and the definition of best qualified. The MSP self-certification checklist is very important. The military spouse will not receive consideration for any job unless this document is uploaded with their application in USA Jobs. Fiscal year 2019 National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, enacted a temporary expansion of the non-competitive appointing authority for military spouses, allowing them to use this authority even in the absence of a PCS move. PCS orders are no longer a requirement to be able to use this eligibility. Military spouses can apply using different eligibilities. Most military spouses opt to use Executive Order 13473 since it is the most advantageous for the spouse. This is the only eligibility which allows the spouse to register for a higher grade. The resume must reflect experience needed to be qualified for the next higher grade. The documents listed on the slide are required and must be uploaded when applying for positions. Military spouses who want to receive preference but do not have PCS orders may apply using Executive Order 13473 preference, but must also supply additional documentation. The spouse must provide proof of military member's active duty status, letter from the military personnel flight, or other documentation that supports this requirement. The spouse must also provide proof that they're residing within the commuting area of the sponsor's permanent duty location. A letter from the MPF or other documentation that supports this requirement may be used. This eligibility can be used when a military spouse is returning from overseas within the last 3 years and an SF-50 verifying completion of 52 weeks creditable service is required. To verify eligibility, the spouse must upload all the documentation listed on the slide as applicable. A military spouse can also use this eligibility if they have reinstatement rights or is a current career or career conditional employee. The documentation listed on the slide must be uploaded with their application if applicable to the military spouse. Supervisors may interview military spouses along with any other candidate that the military spouse does not block. The manager may interview any non-competitive candidate along with the MSP. The manager may never interview a competitive candidate along with the MSP. Certificates issued to the manager will only have candidates that can be selected and interviewed. This slide reflects a number of flexibilities that will significantly contribute to streamlining the process. These procedures will only apply to Priority 2 Air Force non-displaced overseas employees and Priority 3 all other component NDAA registrants. Standard PPP clearance procedures remain in effect for all Priority 2, TOF, TOW, reserve technicians, etc., and Priority 3 registrants, for example, retained grade, civilian spouses, etc. Gaining activities may make unilateral qualification determinations on NDAA within their own component. These initiatives will not take effect until Air Force policy guidance is implemented. AFPC is currently working with our A1 counterparts on guidance, and we will send information to everyone as soon as it is completed and we begin implementation of the new NDAA procedures. Things to remember. Reservists and retained grade employees will remain in PPP. MSP self-certification checklists must be uploaded with every application. Any offer of permanent continuing employment is considered valid. Phase 2 is currently in development. AFPC is awaiting further guidance on what changes Phase 2 will encompass. An AZAR's message will be issued prior to the implementation of Phase 2 of the PPP Streamlining initiative. As an HR specialist and PPP agent, you play a vital role in the successful implementation of these changes, thereby impacting the PPP now and in the future. AFPC CPS transmittal dated 5 March 2019, as well as the websites listed, are great sources of information regarding the changes in the MSP program. The Defense Civilian Personnel Advisory Service has notified us that the websites are currently under revision, but will be available before the April 1st, 2019 implementation date. For any further questions, please use the email address on the slide, and we will respond to you as soon as possible. This concludes our webcast. Thank you for your participation and have a great Air Force Day.